All right, I'm about to get started. Gonna get started. Hello, Substack. Hello, Instagram. Hello, everybody else except Facebook. I'm working on it, but somehow you're being a butt. You can hear me. Up in a minute. Oh. There we go. All right. Now I can see my pages. It's always something. Okay, I think we're working. My center light just decided to die right as the show was flashing. I was like, why are things flashing? Also, I'm wearing a slight shade of, I'm actually wearing green, but I'm wearing I modified it as much as I could so that I could be slightly St. Patrick's Day today. Although I'll tell you what, I will, if I may, let's see, grab this guy. I'm going to turn my filter down a little bit because later on in the show, no doubt, we will have use for a a green screen lesson to all that may be paying attention. There we go. All right, so I'm less see-through. Okay, for the time being. And hello, chat room. Let's see if this button still works. Everything. Oh, look at that. I don't have even my little back window just vanished. Why not? Okay. I can add it in while we're doing it. Apparently Chip was having a great time while I was gone. And all my stuff, let's go to media source and we'll choose over here and we'll use this one. And then I think it's that guy right there. And we'll go, okay. And then I'm gone, but I won't be for long because I'll move myself down to here. There we go. Now it's back. There you go. And then the chat room, which is much bigger, which is great, is a little too big. So I'll bring it down a touch so we can see you guys. What's happening? Okay. I feel better. Making, whatever progress I need to make. Sorry if my voice is a little raspy. I just have to sing 4 songs at a very high key tomorrow. Wish me luck. All I need is some vocal rest and to gargle salt water for the 4th time today. I'd say I will be staying hydrated during the show. Oh, ha. And wishing you guys well. Hit that like, share the show, etc., etc., etc. And we are back on Substack, which is very nice to have that up and running. Very excited. hello, Discord as well, folks. I am working on a way to get the Discord chat. There should be, and I don't know where it is right now, and we'll have to find the link so we can send it to people. Where if you're in the Discord, the chat will occur there as well, and you can participate in the chat via the Discord. It's a lot of switches to throw at the same time. I'm just lucky I can do the separate stream keys for all these different outlets that I go to each day. Man. Okay, here's this. Yeah, let me grab this stupidity. We'll get this in a second. And oh, good. Hold on, we'll stretch this out. Skip ad. I don't want this. Stop it. 3, 2, 1. Stop it. Skip ad. Pausing. Open this up to the there we go. Now oh, I see. That's why it's probably this kind of situation. All right. Excuse me. And I will I will be coughing at different intervals, and I apologize ahead of time for all that. I'm very happy to be back. Thank you very much. Sorry about I'm sorry St. Patty's Day is not a fun holiday for you, whoever that was, just going by in a flash. But I send my love. And look, I'm all coordinated today. And over there in the corner spinning. Oh, my finger disappeared. Lots to cover. Okay, let's just get into it so I don't have to use up too much of my voice today. I don't know if any of you have caught this morning show. Great conversation with the great Tara Dublin Rocks and Bob Seska. We'll be slicing that in half and podcasting both episodes, as 2 separate episodes. I think that's the way we have to do it from now on via the Substack, because that is now officially how the audio part of stuff is launched or whatever. Anyways, I'll be pulling that, slapping shellac on that, and sending it off into the interwebs, as you do. I apologize again also for the sniffling because I'm inflamed, but I feel good otherwise. I rested my voice a little bit, but not much. Okay, now, there is a lot of singular content. Let me see if I can zip past this awfulness. Yeah, I think they start clean. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. Now, I don't know why both of these aren't on here, but we'll figure it out. Why am I signed out of there too? Do I have to sign back into everything? I don't like it. All right. Then one more thing to grab. And let's see. Okay. Am I hearing audio from that? Oh, that's why too. Need to have this guy open so I can at least hear.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, that audio was going out, and I was not. Oh, because why was it instead of monitor?
Thank you.
There we go. So Trump went to the DOJ today, mostly as a distraction. Okay, so let me start this whole show off now that I've got my clips up to where I'm going to. Trump just came out and said at the Kennedy Center boondoggle he was doing that they're going to release the JFK files tomorrow / get them together from all the different people that whatever. And they're going to release them all tomorrow, or start the process of releasing them all tomorrow, or something tomorrow. Tomorrow, oh, tomorrow, oh, tomorrow. And I want to tell you guys that a big portion of this is distraction away from the fact that they are not releasing the Epstein files, hashtag Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. And it's kind of brutal, like how everybody in the media is chasing this laser pointer so easily. It takes nothing to get these idiots to just kind of go, oh, shiny thing. And that's what a lot of this stuff is. The JFK files, I got news for you. Whoever was involved in that, even if they were part of our own government, but it aren't the same people that run it, in 1980, much less now. Most of them, I think, are too dead to prosecute. also if it's a failure or if it was an active measure or if it was seen as both or there's nothing conclusive. All it does is extend the conspiracy theory because the people who wanted it to be an active measure, if they see it was just a failure, are not going to, or they're going to think this is yet another brick in the conspiracy and vice versa. That's how all this garbage works, is that there'll never be enough information for a bunch of these folks. And even if they get everything they want, they'll go, oh, that's what they want you to believe, right? Oh, Louise, did Louise super chat us and I missed it because I was chit chatting? Is that my fault? Thank you. So, myriad of things we'll discuss today, but there are too many opportunities for chasing the laser pointer right now, and I feel some of them, and I'll explain as we show this. Let me see if I can pull up the Kennedy Center thing. Um, uh, I think some of these laser pointer chasing moments are actually for Trump. So I think, um, I think there are a bunch of people, um, like around him, keeping him distracted. Let's see, participates in Kennedy Center board meeting tour. This is the part where he came out and said something. Yeah, here it is.
I don't believe.
So here we go. Let me show you what I mean. I think the people around him, for better or worse, some may be doing it for the betterment of the country. Actually, they're like, hell, he'll love this. Let him go fuck around over here and pretend he's being a boss. And that may be the battle that's going on in the White House or across Washington D.C. right now. Is how do we distract Trump with a pet project where he won't do too much damage and let him, fuck around with something that's easily fixable. Yeah, they bait his ego, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is, let's go straight to this real quick. Okay, that seems very blown out. Let me shrink this down for you. Yeah. Now, here we go.
So we're at the Kennedy Center. Needs a lot of work. We're going to fix it, make it beautiful. It's a very big part of the fabric of D.C. and the Capitol. We're bringing back the Capitol. We're bringing back our country. But while we're here, I thought it would be appropriate. We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files.
Announcing and giving.
So people have been waiting for decades for this. And I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people put together.
Not him, obviously.
By Tulsi Gabbard. And that's going to be released tomorrow. We have...
Real quick, the Office of the DNI was put together after 9/11 because we needed to be able to coordinate intelligence services from the FBI to the CIA, internal and external, and have them be able to communicate directly through one office, while the separate heads could focus on their jobs in particular. The DNI was set there as to be this bridge, right? And so that a 9/11 never happens again. That's what the Office of the DNI is for, not releasing paperwork on something that happened decades ago. You could argue that the FBI could release this on their own. The CIA could release this on their own, depending on the purview. Quite frankly, it should be the DOJ because at its root, an assassination is a murder. So the Department of Justice could be the primary to release all these documents. The fact that it's the DNI means Trump intends to shut down the DNI office, which right-wingers have wanted to do for a long time because it's an extension of the Patriot Act-y kind of stuff that they worried about with civil liberties until they loved hating civil liberties. We'll get to that again in a minute. But that's what she's wasting her fucking time on. So if there's a terrorist attack or God forbid or something awful happens, I want you to know that during the time she should have been prepping, she was doing some sort of fucking, I don't know, she's playing Judy Burnley in 9 to 5, with a copy machine.
tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact. But we're going to be releasing the JFK files, and that would be tomorrow. Do you have anything else to add to that, Carolyn? So that's a big announcement. They've been waiting for that for decades. Then I said during the campaign I'd do it, and I'm a man of my word. So tomorrow you have the JFK files. What time will they be released? Tomorrow afternoon. Okay.
Yeah. Anytime after noon is in the future. But again, I wouldn't be shocked if he just released shit, because who gives a fuck at this point? This will be just fucking chum for the sharks while he does other things. It's also something where he can pat him, like, promises made, promises kept. Doesn't do shit for the price of eggs, gasoline, rent. Doesn't increase the home supply. Doesn't get the lead out of the water. None of that shit. Doesn't help the people in West Virginia whose houses were washed away. Doesn't help anybody in Oklahoma whose house just burned the fuck down, right? But Oliver, like, I was about to say Oliver North. Oliver Stone will give him a call and go, nice job, and that'll be enough. And then he'll go, good, I've done my good deed. I can go fucking golf.
Have you seen what's in the files? Have you read them?
I've heard about them.
Have you seen what's in the files? I've heard about them. Don't redact them. Release everything. Why bother? I've heard about them. That's leadership, ladies and gentlemen. Have you read what's in the files? I've heard about them. Not, I mean, how far away? How much more ignorant? I don't even think he's watched the movie JFK.
Interesting.
It's going to be very interesting.
How do you know? I heard it was going to be interesting.
Executive summary supplied to you, Mr. President.
No, I'm not doing summaries. You'll write your own summaries. It's many pages. Is it 80,000 pages? Approximately 80,000 pages. So it's a lot of stuff. And you'll make your own determination.
Is it like all the printed drafts of the Warren Report?
Criticized President Biden for using AutoPen in the last few days. Have you yourself ever used AutoPen, sir?
Yeah, only for very unimportant papers. And I don't call them unimportant. If you do letters where people write in and, they'd love to have a response, and we'll write responses. And
so if you get a letter back from him, a personal letter, he AutoPens the personal letters. Also, he did all the Jan 6 pardons with AutoPen. Get the fuck out of here.
I'll sign them whenever I can, but when I can't, I would use an AutoPen. But to use them for what they've used them for is terrible.
Yes, sir. And
he used them for like 20 times the number of pardons Biden did.
you signed the CR.
Who are you with?
Sir, I'm with NBC News.
Oh, that's the same one. I don't want to talk to NBC anymore. I think you're so discredited.
Mr. President, when most people think of the Kennedy Center, they think of the Kennedy Center Honors. Takes place in December every year. Is that something that you had?
Is Kid Rock going to host?
Hosting at the White House, and what do you think that?
And what time is the wet T-shirt contest? That's what we all are wondering.
We're going to have honors. We're going to have. I think it's going to be a much bigger show than it has been in the past. It got tired, very boring, very radical left. Unless you were a radical left, it just seemed that nobody was chosen. There are a lot of people out there that.
Who's going to get it? Louis C.K. or Dennis Miller? Who do you think? It's got to be Louis C.K. It's got to be Joe Rogan for his amazing work in the world of stand-up, and Louis C.K. for not for his artistic work, but his managerial qualities in the world of entertainment. And of course, they'll be. I obviously going to be unveiling the Diddy Award this year.
Get the honors, and we're going to do it. I think we'll have a very big show. It's going to be a very big show. We have some surprises on that show, some big surprises. But
yeah, it would be. I guarantee anybody you think should get a Kennedy honor would be surprising. Shocking, I think, is really the word.
I think it has a chance to be a very big show. That's a big part of the Kennedy Center, the honors that evening. And so I think you're going to be really surprised. I think it's going to get great ratings, actually.
President Trump, there's been some discussion about potentially meeting with Putin in your administration. If there is a peace deal signed, would you be open to inviting Putin to the White House?
Well, I don't want to really even discuss it. I got to get the deal. I've got to get the deal signed. 2000.
First of all, before you get a deal signed, I don't know what chapter of Art of the Deal this is. Before you get a deal signed, you actually have to have one. I don't want to get the horse before the cart here, but
people a week sometimes are killed, and we have to get that agreement signed. But that's the only thing I think about.
Really? That's the only thing you think about? You mean besides yourself, I suppose, which is also not true. The only thing he thinks about is how many Russian soldiers are dying in an optional war of aggression that Dr. Jellyfinger has convinced him wouldn't have happened if he was in office.
That could happen tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow?
We're going to have a very important call. You know, we've had calls, but we're getting down to a very critical stage. And we want to get the whole Russia-Ukraine thing done.
Yeah, get that whole Russia-Ukraine thing done.
And I think Ukraine wants it. I know they want it. Everybody wants it. It's tremendous death. The bloodshed is unbelievable, like few people have ever seen before.
And on the drug cartels, do you have a red line for the drug cartels that if crossed, it would automatically trigger a military response from the U.S.?
Well, we'll see, but we're not going to put up with it. This country is not going to allow people to come in and dump drugs and kill our youth and other than our youth, too. Older people are very much affected, so we're not going to let that.
That older people would be in the category of other than our youth.
Happen. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, on the 30-day ceasefire, Mr.
He didn't want real questions, by the way.
President,
He thought announcing the Kennedy thing would be.
it's already committed to this. Would Russia commit?
Excuse me. Sorry, I'm fine. I'm fine. All right. Now, next up, if I can, let me jump back to the chat room and say hi real quick. Hello. Hello. Trump went to the DOJ, but then he did this interview with Sharyl Attkisson. Now, I find that these days his speeches are rambly and fairly boring, and he's staying more on script. It's the interviews where he talks out of his ass, full bore, as it were. And so there's more to be taken away from what he's actually talking about. That said, let me see if I can, yeah. 1 second. I want to see if I got to see if the thumbnail will come up so people can see. Yeah, there we go. This is, yeah. And okay, and this one, because I don't know what the hell. All right, this one, a couple of things. This one is just fucking magic. Nothing really explains Trump's world right now more than this, more than like X, which is that kid's name, I think, following Trump around and being basically like we've been thinking for a long time of like President Elon Musk, Vice President Donald Trump. At this point, it's President X Musk and Vice President Donald Trump. Like this kid is more president than Trump is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure Trump has wiped boogers on the Resolute desk, but I think he thinks nobody noticed. We did. But this is them celebrating the victory laps. This is their little story. But here's the little video of him oddly walking out.
Look.
That's so great. He looks like a happy grandpa there. That's not even his grandkid, but
No, he does not. The kid looks happy and like he's fucking around, like kids do. Trump does not look happy. I don't know how. There's, I think, a Missouri judge or a senator is trying to make Trump derangement syndrome classified as a true mental illness, I would agree. But I think Trump derangement syndrome applies to people who can't look at him and actually see what he looks like, sounds like, or hear what he's actually saying. You have to be deranged and like in a sycophantic, cultic way, hypnotized by his bullshit to look at him and go, "This looks like a happy grandpa."
No, it's maybe an adopted grandkid.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
It's the adoption part that's a separate. What the fuck?
is that the child that's always on Elon's shoulders?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's pointing and making an X. That kid is X. He wants people to know that he is not just taking a little boy onto the helicopter with him for his own personal use, I guess.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought. Yeah.
That's little X.
That kid is not
He
going to
did.
grow up in reality at all.
You say he did the X and then pointed to him. Yeah, that's who that is.
Yeah, it's I'm going to kill this child as a ritual sacrifice. No, I'm kidding. If Biden walked out there with one of his donors' kids and they were getting on it, imagine what would be
Yeah.
said.
Great.
though.
But you know, it really is amazing to look
It's
at
a very kid-friendly White House. I'm just going to say it's very
Yes.
kid-friendly.
Well, I mean, the vice president has young kids.
The vice president has young kids. Where are they? Dude, this isn't even his grandkid, you fucking weirdo. Where are his grandchildren? I haven't seen him at the White House. Have you? What the hell?
Yeah, and you see kids all the time in there.
No, you don't. You see Elon Musk's fucking kid using the Oval Office as a jungle gym.
Of course, that scene where in the Oval Office, completely scripted by Donald Trump, where he gathered all the children around him to sign the
Oh, the little
It was scripted by Donald Trump. Get the fuck out of here.
girls.
the no men and women girls sports. It was such a wholesome, beautiful scene, and it's a reminder that that guy right there has an eye for theatrics, an eye for TV, an eye for the visual, and it's
I agree. There's just something poetic about a grown man taking another grown man's son on a helicopter when that man's parents are nowhere to be seen. Yeah, the optics on this are fucking fantastic. Like, what's this White House's main theme for the year is wide open abductions. This is eyes wide open, eyes wide shut abductions.
why he connects so powerfully with. That's awesome.
I can't, you guys. I can't. It's just
takes
too
him out
much.
of necessity.
And then Trump almost falls. Maybe X should have helped him up.
That's
Watch
awesome.
this.
I can't, you guys. I can't.
No,
it's
it
just
just
too
takes him out,
much
sets him up
cuteness.
there.
It's just too much.
Joe Biden
you're
could
so
never.
you're so right about what.
Did you hear that? Like, listen to that shit in the background. Joe Biden could never. First of all, Trump fucking hates his kids, and he never spends any time with his fucking grandkids. Even when there's a picture around, he treats them just like fans at one of these fucking events. So get the fuck out of here with this whole, like, he's a grandpa, it's a family thing, kid friendly, whatever. Like, this sounds like a dumber, like the Dumb and Dumber version of North Korean propaganda. Just piss off. But secondly, this is just fucking weird. That's not normal. Where is Elon Musk in this? Why? Where? Just take my kid. Where? What? What is this? And Biden like texted with all of his granddaughters. They talked all the fucking time. They still do. Shut the fuck up. He's close to his actual family. Dude's an Irish Catholic. There are like no more annoyingly like well-knit, I think Trump would call them, families than that. Like, they're just always, huge family gatherings. And here's Trump missing the first step. Just kind of perfect little freeze frame right there. But again, what is, if a Democrat did this with a donor's kid, you would never hear the end of the Epstein cabal. Roseanne would well, that kid became a milkshake.
Just takes
Too
him out,
much
sets him up
cuteness.
there.
It's just too much.
Joe Biden
you're
could
so
never.
you're so
Hear that? Joe Biden could never bullshit. What are you talking about? Dude actually gets together with his family, actually has Christmas. Joe Biden, when his wife and daughter were fucking killed and his son was injured and his boys were injured, just got sworn in as a senator or as the youngest senator, I think it was at the time. And he never stayed in DC. He took the train back to Delaware every night so he could tuck them in. He raised his sons all during that period. Like, I mean, why? I mean, it's just petty bullshit, obviously. Like, why would you even bring up something like that? It's just kind of like, it's just so gross. Like, and it's very, and maybe that's what Trump insists on. Maybe that it's getting so consistent, both from Trump himself, Caroline Leavitt, maybe everybody's just taking the natural cues about this, but you can't say anything about Trump without saying Biden screwed this up or never coulda or never woulda or blah, 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 because you've got to lower Biden's standing because on the merits, Biden kicks his ass everywhere.
Right about what you said with that image of the little girls around him and just, the message it sent to the world of like, we're turning.
Yes, that we're not releasing the Epstein files. That's what I thought immediately. Like as soon as I saw him signing that thing, no men and women's sports for all the, and he had all the girls around him. I was like, okay, this is like a Peacock fan of we're not to hide the Epstein files. Just like, that's what that's for. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about, chat room. That whole display where he was signing that thing was really a way of, what's Joey looking at? Well, that's a good point. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, what is Joey looking at? By the way, I did an event for vets with and Joey was there. I've spoken to him a couple of times in passing. On Twitter, we used to go at it, but I was always respectful of the fact that you could tell, and you can look by here, he lost both his legs in the war. And he was sort of the prototype for me being able to question somebody's ideological lock, this fixation that they have on Trump actually being good at this job, and how fucking insane that is, and separating it from me being able to thank him for his service. And I'm happy to say that even as contentious as we ever got, he never felt like I was taking that away from him. And I think that says a lot about how you could go after these stupid talking points and their sycophantic love for this messianic dipshit and still be okay human to human. It's possible. I'm saying. But Lady in Red. Uh-huh. Yeah. Julie, look out. So John Kennedy saying with John missing Ukrainian kids, missing kids. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look good when you're supporting Putin, who stole, 60, 70,000 Ukrainian children. You're friends with the Tate brothers, who are, sex traffickers. I mean, Trump was buddies with Epstein for 25 years, period. Nobody is going to, I have to get my creds at some point and go to D.C. and ask the only question I want to ask. And it's why I won't get into the White House, because they'll see this. The only question I want to ask is, Trump was Epstein's friend for 25 years. How long should it take a person to know that someone like Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile? More than a decade or less than a decade? How long would it take anyone in this room to figure out that Jeffrey Epstein's a pedophile? Would it be less than 25 years? That's the only question I give a shit about. Like, I mean, there's a lot of questions I would ask that are serious political questions, but I don't think they have any answers for them. And I think that would point to their, I was about to say moral flexibility, but their lack of morals in entirety. Hold on a second. Fighting a cough while you're trying to talk is lots of fun.
the page on all this craziness, but he also did it at the joint session of Congress. And I think it was the most, frankly to me, the most important line in that entire address, and it was a long one. He said to the children of America, God made you perfectly. You are perfect exactly the way God made you.
So beautiful.
It is so beautiful. That's why we're getting rid of the Department of Education, because God made children perfect. They don't need education. Shit, they don't need clothes, I guess. God didn't make you. Your body's perfect. Why would you want to cover it? This is getting creepier the more we play this out. No. How about epileptics? I mean, I don't think it's a negative about them, but I don't think you would just classify that as like shrug it off as God's perfect creation. I think maybe looking for a cure would, still be valuable, Also, Trump dyes his hair, so I guess God don't make no mistakes.
Beautiful message from the president. Now, let's get to the fighting.
Well, that issue you're talking about males and women's sports, that's an 80-20 issue, right?
Yeah.
But it's in America among people. But in Congress, apparently it's a 50-50 issue because Democrats seem to still want to support that. Or maybe they are starting to divide up, just not over that issue. Maybe they're starting to divide up over how.
Thanks, Joey. Great. You create a point and then collapse your own point. Look at the two of them. Like, did you? Yeah. Here's a good idea. If you think you're kind of finalizing an argument, don't don't shit on your own argument. I think in that moment, just leave it there.
Money they want to spend.
They are united in that, Joey.
Yeah.
They're not united on whether they're willing to shut the government down to do it, because usually the people who shut the government down have another political problem on their hands, right?
Yeah, that would be whoever's in charge and can't get the votes together to do it, which is what happened. It wouldn't be up to the Democrats to keep the government open. The Republicans have the House and the Senate.
Here's Hakeem Jeffries. He's dodging questions about Schumer, who is the one who helped pass this in the Senate.
For new leadership in the Senate?
Next question.
Have you lost confidence in him, the fact that you guys see this so differently?
Next question.
Mr. Leader, why were you afraid to say anything about Schumer when you were asked?
Don't characterize. No. Do not characterize.
No, my question was, why were you afraid to say anything?
Do not characterize.
About he's like, don't care. He's saying, don't characterize what I said as I'm afraid to say something. Just because I don't want to answer it, I'm not going to answer it, is immaterial. Strategically, I might not want to answer it. It's not because I'm afraid. I'm not afraid to say fuck you. I'm just not saying it in this context, right? So notice that guy backtracks again to, no, I was saying, why are you afraid? Afraid, like he doesn't understand the
My remarks. I'm not afraid about anything. Anything.
But you went to another question.
Anything.
Twice.
I said, I was very clear that we look forward to working with every single one of our Senate Democratic colleagues. Every single one of them. To push back against the Trump administration.
So put your journalist hat on, Charlie. What do you make of that exchange?
We've seen a lot of shutdowns, and every shutdown, it doesn't matter whose fault it really is, every shutdown gets blamed on Republicans.
Yeah.
And this is the first time in my memory where you have a potential government shutdown and Republicans managed to pin the blame, in this case where it belonged, on Chuck Schumer and Democrats.
Yeah, that's not how it worked at all. The difference is that Democrats don't want that much harm done to the American people, considering the amount of harm Trump has already set in motion. If you stack on top of his stupid tariff bullshit and the horrible, unpaid for CBP people at the border, or the ICE personnel and all that kind of stuff going state to state, all that money that's got to come, Trump has to get that from somewhere. That has to be allocated. And if they don't pass the CR, it'll shut down the government, period. And that harms everybody. Democrats, the reason why it always gets blamed, Republicans always get blamed for it, is because they don't give a shit who it harms. And we're already seeing, like, the idea that we could get up in arms about the damage Doge is doing and then shrug off a shutdown is fucking stupid. There has to be another way to fight this. And that letting the government shut down and going, well, fuck it, I guess you guys blah, blah, is a terrible way to do it. It's just not going to happen. And so that's not what happened at all. And as a matter of fact, the infighting that it caused amongst Republicans, especially in the House, with the CR is gorgeous and has been ongoing. And the cloakroom fights are supposedly fantastic because the CR keeps them from getting their tax break because they know we're going to get it now. If we try to get it later this year, we're fucked. And guess what? They're fucked. Schumer and Jeffries stopped the Trump tax cut insofar as we can tell right now. I mean, God knows what could happen. But if we take the House, for example, it's gone for the rest of the term. That chance of extending that thing is gone. And Trump will be a livid freakout machine. I mean, not like he isn't now, but even more, like unhinged to the point where his incompetence rises to the surface even more in a way that will frustrate the people who put him there.
And they freaked out and they blinked. They had no good options, and they deserted the field. They couldn't even stand and fight for it.
It's very indicative of what that fight is. A good example, I've got Warnock and Ossoff in Georgia. They're very liberal, very progressive. That's what they are. But look at how they're voting right now. Because Georgia's turned very red. It's always been red, but that one little slip up there.
So how did Warnock vote on that one?
I don't know how. I think.
Jesus Christ, Joey. Come on, man. Come on. He knows how they're voting. How are they voting? I don't know. You know what? It's nice to know that in the era of Trump beta 2.0, Fox and Friends hasn't lost their edge.
We were going to show who voted which way.
Let's
saw
do that.
I think we have it. If we don't, we'll talk about it in the next time we talk about this. But
yeah, whenever that is, sometime in the next 6 years or something. What's our schedule? Does anybody know?
But I was talking about. I can't remember.
There we go.
So those are the ones who voted to break the filibuster. But
no, that's really.
Yeah, they voted for cloture on it, but they didn't vote for the actual thing. That's the point.
Interesting. So you've got neither of them. Are up on that, voted to break the filibuster on that, which is very significant because voting to break the filibuster is actually, that's a free vote. I mean, you as a Democrat,
you can go back and vote against.
Yeah, you can, exactly. Every one of these people are going to vote against it, but that you can just.
Yes. But you just showed that Jeanne Shaheen didn't. And Jeanne Shaheen didn't because a CR screws Trump's tax plan idea. The House is not going to pass that ridiculous package they wanted to get through that includes the $4 trillion add to the debt ceiling so that they could have Trump's tax cut. They're not going to be able to pass that now that you have a CR that takes us to the end of the year. And if Trump's economic shit isn't fucking magic, and it obviously isn't, then the chance of them passing his tax cut later this year is slim to none. Zero.
To
the
break
reconciliation.
You can vote to break the filibuster and then vote against the bill itself. But I do think that it's really interesting because, as you point out, Georgia should not be represented by two left-wing Democrats.
No, in the same.
They aren't. They're represented by Democrats.
Election.
Warnock's like a commie. Literally.
Warnock's like a commie, like literally. Yeah, that's kind of magic. Can we hear that again?
Democrats.
No, in the same election.
Warnock's like a commie. Literally.
It's like we're getting to see her at the water cooler at Fox as the dudes talk over her. Hey guys, wait up.
If you're a Georgian, you got a lot of problems with Warnock. The point here is If you're those people, Ossoff and Warnock, do you swing right like Bill Clinton in the 90s, or do you toe the line that got you there, that's going to get you all the money in your next election? And if you do, you're probably not going to stay there. I don't think the country stopped swinging middle or even right because DOGE is cutting some jobs from the federal government. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't think it's you don't think they overreached and they're undermining their own strategy because they don't know what the fuck they're doing? Where would I ever get that idea?
What their line of attack is, and that's what they're arguing about.
Or how about you just man the middle?
How about they're not arguing about it at all? They voted for cloture and voted against the bill because they disagree with the spending priorities of the administration. I don't know. I'd love for that part of it to be fucking exciting. But this is Fox and Friends in the era of Trump world. I mean, we don't need to see any more of this horse shit. For the record, we're not going to learn anymore from these folks because they don't even know the facts that apparently they're upset about. That's it. Let's jump over to this interview with Sharyl Attkisson. Now, hold on. Let's see if I can. This is yeah, she's one of the Sinclair people, and yeah, let's see. So let me show you what her website looks like real quick. This is Sharyl Attkisson's site. Her book, Follow the Science: How Big Pharma Misleads, Obscures, and Prevails. And the S in science is a pill with a $sign in it. She's got the Sharyl Attkisson podcast. 81% support Trump's tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China. Of visitors to SharylAttkisson.com, I guess. Special government deception over thimerosal in vaccines linked to neurodevelopment harm in children. Government deception. So the government deception is linked to the. So I see. So government deception causes autism. Do we need what do we need? A semicolon there at some point? Mass General Brigham layoffs. Okay. After hours, the dietitians group accepting money from blah, blah, blah. Epstein files, White House implies progress. Some say they aren't. Parents say pandemic harmed children's social skills, mental health most. Splash training watch. I don't know. She jumps off a boat. I will say that Sharyl Attkisson, this lady, looks like the woman from Resident Alien who plays the bird he falls in love with in season 3. Spoiler alert. He's still doing the Illuminati hand gesture.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Is there anything new on the Russia development? Because I understand probably by the minute there are things happening.
I think it's going well. I think it's a tough situation that we're in. You know, I inherited a mess from him in so many ways, whether it's the wall or the economy or anything.
He looks great, though, I will say. I'm sick, but he looks great.
You want to talk about it's tough. This was a very tough one. Ukraine, Russia.
Oh, I see. I thought you were talking about a whole other Russian thing. Yeah. You just brought up Russia, and I was like, oh, Ukraine, Russia. That's the thing. So thanks for reminding us what the fuck we're talking about.
It should have never happened. It would have never happened, but it did. And we have to see what we can do to save a lot of lives and to stop paying billions and billions of dollars also. It's a massive.
To red states to make ammunition to send over there? Because that's where the money goes.
Amounts of money. $350 billion we've spent on that.
No, we haven't.
And we're going to try and do something about that. But more important.
Well, good. I'm glad you thought about it for a second.
Right now, you have a lot of people dying. You're losing probably 2,000 people a week in shooting soldiers, Russian and Ukrainian. And whatever we can do to stop it, we're trying to do that.
Are you speaking to Putin in the last days or hours personally?
Well, I don't want to say it, but we are dealing with him. And I think.
No.
I think it's going reasonably well.
Reasonably well.
It's a very complex situation. You know, it's a bloody, terrible war.
Huh. Most of the time, wars aren't like that. You know what I mean? Usually they're cushy affairs.
And I do think it's going well. As you know, we have a ceasefire agreement with the Ukrainian group.
The Ukrainian group, yeah. Which I'm not familiar with. Which group was that? Their version of the Osmonds or their version of Judas Priest? No, you don't. You can't. There's no such thing as a ceasefire with one of the two parties. That's not a fucking thing. It's never been a. That's. I think the only version of that exists where one party ceases to fire and the other doesn't is, I think, called a surrender. And you certainly don't have a fucking surrender agreement.
And we are trying to get that with Russia, too.
With Russia, so that you have one at all.
And I think thus far it's gone okay. We'll know a little bit more on Monday.
Great. Thus far, it's gone okay. Think about the hyperbole that comes out of this dipshit's mouth all the time and know what it takes for him to say something like, it's going okay.
And that'll be hopefully good.
I'm not
Hopefully good.
understating the complexity of all this, but as a candidate, you said you would have this war settled in 24 hours.
Yeah. Ouch. Sharyl, sliding in for the win. Look, I don't like you, and I think you're a nutcase, but this is how fucked up this guy's campaign was. It was so bad and so like chimp handled, just like 9 chimpanzees running around an office with one typewriter trying to type a press release that just says Bigley in it. That's how shitty his entire campaign was. Just promise everything. We'll worry about it later. Just fucking run as Santa Claus. We'll do it. By the time you get in there, it's too fucking late anyways, and we'll just do what we want. But it was so egregious. It was so over the top. It was so absurd that even the people who, would line up and they would crawl through broken glass to sniff his farts are like,
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
Sarcastic. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's start with he doesn't know what the word sarcastic means. He doesn't know what sarcasm is. Or he thinks sarcasm is a euphemism for lying. He means hyperbolic, but he's too stupid to know that's what he means. So I don't know why I'm helping.
But I would. What I really mean is I'd like to get it settled.
Oh, okay. Shit. Well, you can't say that on the campaign trail. Everybody's dick would go limp. Your rallies would dry up. I would like to get it settled. Just fucking rats leaving a sinking ship. I mean, that's what it was like at the rallies anyways.
And I think I'll be successful.
What?
You weren't. You aren't. That's what she said. She said you get it done in 24 hours. You're not successful. You did not do that. Fail, 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 fail. You have failed. You failed. It's not, there's no version of this that actually you got what you wanted or you promises made, promises kept. At all. Dummy. You failed.
The plan if Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire?
Bad news for this world.
Wow. Hold on. Run that by me again. She goes, what's your plan if if Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire?
I think I'll be successful.
What's the plan if Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire?
Bad news for this world because so many people are dying. But I think he's going to agree. I really do. I think I know him pretty well.
Hey, asshole, she didn't ask if you thought he would agree. She asked you, what do you do if he doesn't? And your answer can't be, I guess fuck them. I guess people are going to be pissed that I don't know. Want to buy some Trump coin? What can I do for you? I don't know. I told you it was yuck. I'll be golfing. How in the world? Listen to this. Listen to the answer again in this. Hold on.
And
Her whole question. Listen to her whole question and listen to. I'm gonna let it roll. I'm not saying I won't throw some fart sounds in because he deserves it, but
we'll know a little bit more on Monday, and that'll be hopefully good.
I'm not understating the complexity of all this, but as a candidate, you said you would have this war settled in 24 hours.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that. I would, what I really mean is I'd like to get it settled, and I think I'll be successful.
What's the plan if Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire?
okay. What's the plan if Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire?
Bad news for this world because so many people are dying. But I think he's going to agree. I really do. I think I know him pretty well, and I think he's going to agree.
Believe me, he knows him well.
River. You using the whole fist, Doc?
Yeah, they're real close.
Thank you, Doc. You ever served time?
Yeah.
In a tumultuous week with confusion over tariffs, with the financial markets.
What? I'm sorry. Confusion over there's no confusion over tariffs. Are you insane?
A lot of regular people don't understand tariffs and how they work.
Well, they're a beautiful thing.
Can you explain for people who aren't?
Wait, hold on. Did he say for us? They're a beautiful thing for us?
With the financial markets, a lot of regular people don't understand tariffs and how they work.
Well, they're a beautiful thing.
Can you explain for people who aren't really plugged into this, maybe with a specific product example, how we are supposedly getting?
Oh, Sharyl. Oh, Sharyl, you're really getting close to the edge of the trail here, kiddo. The wagon wheel is wobbling. The nuts are coming loose, and you're on the edge of the path and into the muddy ditch. It's just wavering on the edge. You're this close to ideological Donner Party.
Ripped off by tariffs and how it can be fixed and when we would see the benefits of it.
Love it. Here it comes. Specifics, ladies and gentlemen of America. Here they come. Specifics. A case example, a case study, if you will, in a particular product where they're getting ripped off, and these tariffs will help to bring that product into a situation that won't involve something like we're going to do it great, and it's going to be so great, and we're going to be so rich, and golden era, and it won't be any of that shit.
Well, we as a country have been ripped off for years and years, decades and decades, and you've covered it on your show. I've seen it. Canada's a disaster for us. We lose close to $200 billion with Canada.
No, we don't. We don't lose it. We buy shit with it. We buy from them. They're a smaller country than us. Of course, we buy more shit from them than they buy from us. They couldn't possibly buy an equal amount of goods from us.
Nobody did anything. Nobody says that with Canada that they charge our farmers. Think of this. They have, for dairy products, some dairy products, 270% tariff. Nobody knows that. Nobody.
Break that down to like common terms. So our farmers may have a product such as what, and we sell it to Canada.
So we want to sell milk into Canada, and they throw a 270% price increase on the milk.
Which means we don't have much of a market.
Which means we don't sell milk in Canada. It's almost...
Yeah, we also don't buy milk from Canada. And how do you reciprocal trade something we don't buy from fucking Canada?
It's called a monetary tariff, but they have a lot of non-monetary tariffs too. That's things unrelated to, they'll have a standard that they'll say you didn't meet or something. That's called a non...
Yeah, like if you have lead in your milk or something like that, or E. coli. Fuck. I mean, the bar is set so high.
Monetary.
So you put a
You have to pasteurize it, for example.
tariff on what, for example, to try to counter the milk tariff?
Well, I can put a tariff on anything, but in the case of Canada, I put it on steel and aluminum.
Because both are breakfast staples.
They want to sell their stuff to us.
We have a lot of tariffs that we're going to be putting on. It really hits on April 2nd. And actually, we've been very consistent. I think a lot of people are loving what I'm doing. The
No, they're
real
not.
business people are loving it. We're going to make them
No, the real business people are apparently blowing up the phone at the White House going, what the fuck are you doing?
rich again. But we're going to have tariffs on automobiles. We're going to have tariffs on steel. We're going to have tariffs on aluminum and copper and many, many different things. And
Yeah, but not Canadian milk, I guess.
we're going to be very consistent. And I've been very consistent.
Why? Why would the agricultural goods be on the same playing field as steel and aluminum at all? Why are why is it a 1-to-1 in the value of those goods? Why, for example, would the Wisconsin dairy farmers who want to sell milk to Canada because they're right fucking there, apparently just drive it right across the border? Why is that more important than, say, auto manufacturing in the United States that needs the steel and aluminum to make cars in the United States? Like the Toyota factories in Tennessee and the like, they have to get that aluminum and steel from somewhere until production ramps up in the United States to match the demand, and the cost of it is low enough, unless you want, price of cars to go up. Gotcha.
I did give General Motors and our big three, actually, a month of relief because they would have had a very unfair disadvantage over other car makers, which I didn't want.
An unfair disadvantage. So there's a fair disadvantage somewhere in the world. Well, sure. Yeah. I'm 5'9", $165, fully clothed, soaking wet. So I'm not going to be playing in the NBA anytime soon. So sure, that would be a disadvantage in one particular court.
So I did that. And I think it was something I did from the fact that, I want to take care of our car companies. But you have, and you've been reading
But like, I guess if you make washing machines, fuck you.
About it and seeing it, we have companies moving into the United States at levels that has never been seen before. We have many, many car factories going up.
If I
No, we don't.
understand it correctly, the benefits would come from some of that may largely be down the road.
No, I think immediate. Look, when you're building those plants, a lot of money comes in from those plants. You're using companies, subcontractors, contractors, concrete companies, and steel companies.
Oh, concrete, right. Yeah, like the mob in New York that built Trump Tower when everybody else was using steel to build, and you decided, hey, build the largest concrete structure on the Upper West Side, or I guess Central Park area.
And you're going to see it initially, but you're going to see it more down the road when they open up.
Sure. So the temporary jobs of building these plants, if they get built indeed, which they aren't, will be supplanted by the people who work there at a largely automated auto factory with nearly no human beings working in it entirely. I see.
And I would rather have that, by the way, that you get money or you get jobs. And
yeah, you can't have both.
I'd rather see the jobs. The biggest hit is when they move in. So you have the biggest chip maker in the world coming in with $200 billion. You know that.
Yeah, thanks, Joe Biden.
So that number one in the world by far, Mr. Wei, most respected, one of the most respected people in business. Forget about chips.
Yeah, I don't even remember what you were talking about chips. I forgot all about it.
From Taiwan, he's coming in. He's spending hundreds of billions of dollars
because the Biden administration worked to build this deal and gave them the seed money to do it and insisted on it for national security purposes.
And he'll be spending it largely in Arizona. But
Gee, Where'd that funding come from?
These companies are coming in at levels that people haven't seen, and they're coming in because of the tariffs, and they're coming in because of me too.
Hey, real quick, how many people work in a chip fab? Is it same as like like in the movie Gung Ho, where Michael Keaton and all those guys worked on an auto plant line? Remember that? Is it similar numbers, or is it like 12?
But they're coming in because of the tariffs, the incentive, because if he doesn't, they're going to have to pay.
No, they aren't. TSMC is coming here because of national security concerns. That the United States basically put them on notice that because of the issues with China and because they can't afford to be able to, like if there was a blockade, they could stop us from getting chips that we might need, and they could do this intermittently just to fuck with things. We need to put a plant here in the United States for national security reasons. Shit ton of Biden's DOD funding also went to make this deal possible, and they're not even talking about it. That's why Trump can take credit for it the way he is.
Substantial tariffs for the
They're paying almost nothing.
privilege of selling their product in the United States.
Well, I said
They don't sell their product in the United States. They're a manufacturer of American products. They just moved it here because those chips are becoming more and more crucial, and the rest of the world doesn't trust China anymore. And they're worried that in a writ of felis jage, as Clouseau would put it, Xi Jinping's going to attack Taiwan at some point because he's flailing so badly. That's the big concern. And even if they don't attack, if they just blockade it, it fucks up our ability to get chips. And we can't afford that in this era and going forward, ever for the future.
mean it may take some time, obviously, for the plants to be built and the people to be hired.
It will. But remember, the building of the plant is a lot of money also.
No, it is not.
Taken.
Yeah, she's like, boy, take it. She's not buying it, by the way. I would like to say, it does not seem like, I can understand why this interview is 24 minutes long instead of the hour she was promised.
Society, I'm positing, we've largely been convinced by our political leaders in the past that it's okay to kick the can down the road and not fix a lot of important things. It's very easy to paddle the kayak toward the waterfall with people telling you you're never going to hit the waterfall.
Sure.
It's hard to change directions. And I'm wondering, do you think American society today has the guts and the grit to go through any pain that there could be?
Ah, I see. She's trying to give him the hint, as it were, that people aren't going to like the pain that's coming, and these jobs are so far down the road that by the time he wants to take credit for them, it might be someone else in the White House. Not just Vance, but into the next term of the next president, or even after that.
To try to fix big things.
So I think our economy is going to roar. I think our...
By the way, this fuckwad has no idea what automation is going to do to the unemployment figures in red states. And that all these factories that are being built are going to be the most modern, the most automated spaces we have ever seen. Like no one's ever seen before. That's genuinely true about that. And he's not going to be touting that when it happens.
stock market's going to do great.
How long would you suggest people may have to wait before they say on a daily basis, wow?
Well, look, I think they're seeing a lot of things happening. I think they're seeing the numbers. Look, Apple got up and said we're investing $500 billion, not $500 million. That's a lot of money too, but $500 billion in the United States. They never did that.
They've always been here. Jesus Christ, the Apple campus costs something like $30 billion. They do it all the time. They actually do, and this might be shocking to people, in Silicon Valley, make a lot of the silicon parts that go into, they fab a lot of their own pieces that also go into the chips that are made, that go into iPhones and the like. It actually happens here, has for a long fucking time.
Their plants in China.
That's why they called it Silicon Valley.
And now they're building their plants in the United States. And that's because of me, policy also, but also because of me.
No. Apple's manufacturing, as far as the assembly of like iPhones and stuff, is more than likely going to be in Mexico, where the labor's cheaper. Otherwise, an iPhone will cost you more than a laptop.
But you see all these companies, we have news conferences sometimes, and sometimes I just say announce it. I don't have enough time for the news conferences. But
You know, oh, it's golf, right? Sure.
the kind of money being invested in the country, we've never seen anything like it.
I would say
Yeah, we have. We've got a $27 trillion economy, dickhead. Of course we have.
border has to be very early in this administration the single most tangible, quick impact people saw.
Yeah.
I think 96% or above decrease in illegal border crossings.
Yeah, it's amazing when Russia calls off the dogs.
And the mass deportations, I don't know how many of those. Are you satisfied with
Yeah, nobody does. It's less than Biden. How about that?
how that's going so
Yeah, I think they're doing an incredible job, and it's a tough job, too. We have 99%.
What was that? Was there?
Improvement from Biden. And that was his better year. You know, he started around the election working a little bit harder, and they got a little bit better. It was horrible still. So we're comparing it to his best time.
Yeah, but you still haven't paid for it. You're using emergency powers. This is the same funding trick that George W. Bush used during the Iraq War. You put it on a credit card. It's not on standard budget. You're not budgeting for these personnel. And the wall sucks. The wall doesn't work. The wall's fucked up. It's terrible. Doesn't work. That's why you need that many people down there. If the wall was worth a goddamn, you wouldn't have to line it with people every 16 feet.
Comparing it to the worst time, it's like, it's not even, you can't calculate it how much better.
You actually can.
So we have now the best border we've ever had, and we did that in a period of 5 weeks. Pretty amazing, actually.
does that imply that we don't need to add a bunch of money and forces? In fact, maybe you could draw.
Whoops. You know what? I'm starting to think Sharyl is a mole. There's a very strong chance that at some point she's like, it's Chris Hayes. Right.
Down or reappoint the force and manpower that's down there, and we don't need new laws and new money?
Well, you don't need very many new laws, because I did it without new laws. I did it twice.
Very many. Well, any appropriation of funds for any particular force or use is actually a law. It has to be enacted by Congress for that money to go somewhere. So you need one, and it's enormous.
Without new laws, I had the best border ever.
No, you didn't. COVID did.
And now I think we're going to beat those numbers. I actually think these numbers might be slightly better, and we're going to get them better yet. And I said during the speech on Tuesday night, I said that you didn't need anything. You just needed a new president for that.
Well, you actually did. You actually did need funding. You actually did need new funding. Hold on one second. Now, here we go. Boop. Border crossings have plummeted because that was always a farce. Trump deported fewer people last month than Biden a year ago, but border crossings have plummeted. They haven't gotten anywhere near this enormous doubling down on Operation Wetback that they were promising all their racist friends. About 11,000 immigrants were deported last month, compared with over 12,000 a year ago. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deported fewer immigrants in February than they did under the Biden administration during the same month a year ago, according to ICE data obtained by NBC News that has not been previously reported. According to data, ICE deported around 11,000 migrants last month, the first full month Trump was in office, compared to just 12,000 in February 2024. One of the major reasons for the higher numbers under the Biden administration was higher traffic from attempted border crossings, both legal and illegal, in 2024 compared to 2025. The weird part is putting the both legal is immaterial to why you would deport people. Nobody is bouncing legal immigrants right away and counting that as an ICE deportation. That unless they're, that's somebody committing a crime or what have you. People were first arrested by Customs Border Protection, which typically means they were arrested at border count for most of the deportations in February 2024. Under Biden, it's easier to deport people detained near the border than to find them after they disperse across the United States. And yet still, weren't we promised 1.3 million in the first 3 months? It's fucking March.
I said, close the border, and they closed the border. He could have
The border's not closed.
done the same thing. I think he wanted open borders. I don't know if he did, but somebody in there that ran the operation, nobody really knows who was running it.
There's a lot of intrigue.
Edit. See that? That they cut a piece of whatever he
And
said.
they closed the border. He could have done the same thing. I think he wanted open borders. I don't know if he did, but somebody in there that ran the operation, nobody really knows who was running it.
There's a lot of intrigue.
See that? His mouth is shut before when he leans back and farts or whatever he did just then. Like that. Maybe that's what they edited out, probably.
Surrounding the release of the Epstein files, Martin Luther
Ouch, Cheryl just going for the fucking throat.
King files, John F. Kennedy files. Some current and former FBI agents are saying, some of them telling me, that they feel the FBI establishment came out ahead in the standoff sort of with the New York FBI field office over releasing the records, and your Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding them but not getting all the.
He literally doesn't understand the sentence she's saying. Look at his face. He doesn't even know what she's talking about in the vaguest terms.
She wanted.
Just heard Pam
Is that
Bondi.
process still on track? I think that's one of the most often questions I've been asked the last couple of days, to release these records on Epstein, MLK, and JFK.
Well, Pam Bondi's done a phenomenal job in
She really has at not releasing the Epstein files. Fantastic.
every respect. And there could have been some holdback. I haven't heard too much about it, but they could. But
Really? You haven't heard too much about it or whatever? Well, I mean, granted, your friend died in prison, so.
bottom line is the records are getting out.
The bottom line is they aren't.
The Kennedy records are getting out. Those
Right. Yeah, definitely the Kennedy. Definitely.
the ones they really wanted to see the most with
Yeah, nobody wants to see the Epstein files. I mean, honestly.
Kennedys. And during my administration, as you know, I released a lot of them, but then a lot of people started coming in, people that I respected, people that worked for the administration, asked me not to release the rest.
Yeah, they didn't say that about the Epstein files at all. Nobody even brought them up. That's weird.
And I respected that. They gave me certain reasons, but I respected that. And
Yeah, certain reasons, lady. Just okay. #reasons.
I did say, I must tell you, I said that probably wish I did release the whole thing because I have no idea what's in there. But
No, I heard of them.
then they found, and we found 2,000 more documents on Kennedy. And the one they want most is Kennedy, and it's going to be released.
No, I don't think they do. I really don't. I think the Epstein files are the most important one, really. I think that's what most of them. If you ask Anna Paulina Luna, for example, the woman you asked to share your bed on Air Force Deuce, whatever you're calling Trump Farce 1.
It's moving along, and it's moving along pretty rapidly. It doesn't go that
weeks
rapidly.
maybe, or longer?
I say weeks. Yeah, I say weeks.
Well, let me
Sure, say weeks then. Sure, she said weeks, you say weeks. We say weeks.
switch gears and go to the media next. It's understandable that you would hold the media accountable for its mistakes, and I would argue that nobody has suffered that more than you have in the course of
Well, you suffered it a little bit, in all fairness.
yeah, absolutely,
Your
but
career.
not as
I
much
know
as
all
you.
about your wonderful career, but you suffered it.
But as a supporter,
Yeah, no. I mean, she's an anti-vaxxer, and she thinks vaccines cause autism. That's not suffering. That's the FO part.
a robust free press, do you worry sometimes that the settlements you're getting against big press organizations and so on might have a reverse effect and chill the press and make people think that you're doing something to crack down on a free press?
Well, they really lied about me. I mean, in so many ways. You know that, and you understand that, and you've
No, she doesn't, and no, they didn't.
had it yourself, and to a large extent. I mean, you know, larger than most.
No, don't try to stack. I mean, I appreciate that he's trying to build a bridge with this young lady, but
They were very dishonest. That's why I came up with the name fake news. They're fake news.
no, you didn't. If I may. I mean, this is. Yeah, the irony is probably going to get me a fucking copyright strike.
Weekend Update with Norm MacDonald.
Thank you.
Fair use.
Hi, I'm Norm MacDonald, and this is the fake news.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Fuck off. We miss you, Norm. But Jesus Christ. No, you didn't come up with it, you absolute asshat.
And you're right. I've had some good luck suing these people, and I have some others in there that are, and I'm doing that. I'm doing that for the people of this country.
Yeah. Not all the people, obviously. Ghislaine Maxwell, mostly.
We need a free press, a fair press. I said we need borders. We need a fair press. We need to stop crime. And elections have to be perfect, and they're not perfect.
Yeah. Elections need to be perfect. They need, let's see. I don't have this.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, you can't have that.
A disaster.
I tracked media mistakes when you first came into office the first time, and there were too many really to count, but I tracked them as best as I could. I'm looking at them this time, and I'm not seeing as many when we're talking about false reporting and fake information. Not that some of that isn't out there, but I don't see it to the same extent I did in the 2016 time period. Do you think the media is treating you better now?
No, I think that...
I think my crimes are more obvious, and they're focusing on the ones that the evidence for it is already out. Hashtag Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
I've become more experienced in handling the media. I think the media respects me more. You know, I've done this twice. You know, when I first came in, don't forget, I
think the corporate owners of some of the big media companies are either friends, think they're going to benefit from the tax break, or are afraid of you.
Done it. I won this incredible election, and I relied on people for recommendations, and now I know everybody in Washington that you'd want to know, and we have a great staff, and I had a great staff before, too. Look, I rebuilt the military and all of the things we did, the great things that we did. The taxes were the biggest tax cut in history. All the things we did, and I had a lot of great people, but I
also, no, they weren't.
Some that I wouldn't have put in retrospect. I think now we have unbelievable people. But no, the media has, I find it to be that it hasn't changed. What has changed is, I think Facebook and Google, and a lot of them have become, I think a guy like Bezos is, I've gotten to know him, and I think he's trying to do a real job. Jeff Bezos is trying to do a real job with the Washington Post. And that
he's trying to do a real job with the Washington Post. That's a wonderful way of putting it. I think the concern is that you're friends with Elon Musk, and his direct competition on a bunch of fronts is Bezos, and Bezos has real money, not farcical fanboy money in Tesla. Amazon stock is worth something. Tesla stock is bullshit.
wasn't happening before. My first time, I had Google against me, I had Facebook against me, I had Instagram, I had everybody against me. The whole world was against me. 97% of it was just like horrible. And it was really crooked. It was really dishonest. And
you mean like Fox and Newsmax and those guys?
I think I fought them well. And now I'm actually winning awards for the fact that, a lot of that stuff is coming due now. It takes a long.
He's winning awards. You're winning awards. So good. So you got, what, did you get the most like autocratic asshole of the year award, or?
Time through the court system. We have CBS as an example. They totally changed the answers of Kamala Harris.
The work that we do diplomatically.
They took other answers and put them into.
Okay. It's nice to be back. Are you guys glad I'm back? I'm glad I'm back. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Let's see.
If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
And do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
Uh-huh. Yeah. They edited that answer on the air and just cut it right after. Yeah.
The slot, they'd ask her a question. She gave a horrible answer. They took it just before the election, one day before the election. They took the answer and they put an entirely different answer into the slot. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
One quick.
They literally have seen it every time 60 Minutes does an interview with a politician.
Follow-up. There's some people who are saying to the extent CBS 60 Minutes was considering some kind of settlement with you, that was almost like a blackmail thing, or that they were doing that because they were afraid now that you're president that there are certain things you could do that would hurt the corporation. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't think so. I mean, look, they were wrong. Hey, they took an answer from another part of an interview that was much later.
They said it was from the same question, but yeah.
They didn't say that.
They literally said that.
Even, I'll tell you what, they advertised, the way they got caught was they advertised a little piece of that answer, and then when it was shown on television, that piece wasn't there anymore. So we said, well, wait a minute, what happened to the answer was so bad, so incompetent that.
Wait, I'm sorry. An ad for an interview is different. So look, thank God he's doing this interview with 0 edits.
She would have lost the election just based on that. It was such a horrible answer. And they took
What was horrible about it?
another answer from another part and, down deep in the interview, and they put it into that, they slotted it in. I never even heard of that before. Nobody did. And they admit that they're guilty. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think they have problems.
A lot of what you want to do, of course, the big things, it's already meeting up with legal challenges and protests and opposition. And a good deal of it would require Congress's help to codify it and kind of get around that.
Yeah, well, we're trying to do that. We're doing executive orders at the fastest rate that anyone's ever seen.
Yeah, that's the part where you're not using Congress, dum-dum. Executive orders aren't like you working with Congress. They're the exact opposite.
Our cabinet, as you know, approved at the fastest level. John Thune has done a great job. Mike Johnson has done a great job.
Mike Johnson doesn't do any of that, the cabinet stuff.
Leaders and the speaker, they've been fantastic. We have
passing a CR of the Biden spending.
Really, we're going at a breakneck speed, and I think everyone's saying they've never seen anything like it. Now you're comparing it to people that honestly should have never been there, should have never ever been there. What they've done to our country is not even describable. But
give it a shot.
We're doing a good job.
But the hard reality, if you want to talk about the establishment or the swamp, members of Congress in both parties are funded by some of the very interests that you're trying to dial back on. It kind of makes the equation a little bit harder.
Well, it doesn't matter because I'm doing what has to be done, and I'm getting the support, and I'm doing executive orders, but those, when you say codify, we're trying to get them codified so that they'll be there forever, so that at the end of a term, if for some reason somebody else gets in that has an opposing view, this is the right view. We have to have borders. We have.
Right. So that's what she's saying. You have to involve Congress, and executive orders aren't the way to do it, and they're temporary. And you do want to codify them, I suppose.
Have honest elections, fair and honest elections. And
we have to have fried cod, obviously.
We're doing things that even on that front, we're, moving.
It does this every so often on Rumble.
Forward on some very serious things. One of the things that's.
Ooh, look at that edit. That wasn't even. They weren't even trying.
Honest elections, fair and honest elections, and we're doing things that even on that front, we're, moving forward on some very serious things. One of the things that's.
Oof. Did you see that edit?
Very important that we're doing 50% of the Department of Education.
Yeah, 50%. 50%.
Now, that's a great thing.
I can't even say it. It's so stupid.
It's going to be higher than that. These are people that weren't showing up to work. They weren't doing their jobs, or they weren't good at their jobs.
You didn't check. By the way, you don't agree with the existence of the Department of Education. So nobody there is good at their jobs and nobody is showing up to do a job.
But more importantly, we want the states to handle education. If you go to Iowa, if you go to Florida, if you go to certain states, if you go to Indiana, I would say 40 out of
Oh, yeah. The ones, obviously not the rich blue states that have good schools.
50 states will do a fantastic job.
Yeah. If they're not being held to that annoying standard by the federal government for their fundage.
5 will be okay, and 5 will not be so good, but we'll help them and we'll make them good one way or the other. We'll make them
5 of the 40 and 5 of half 5 of the 40 will be good and 5 of the 40 will not be good. You mean 50% of the 40? You mean 20?
We don't want to run education through DC anymore. I want education
You don't. You just create a national standard. We are a country
to be going. And I think Linda McMahon is going to do a great job.
at destroying the Department of Education,
I think she's going to do a fantastic job.
of destroying the Department of Education.
But her job is an interesting job because she's trying to put herself out of a job. She wants to, and I want to get education back so that the states will run education. They can run it.
States do run education. Just if they need federal funding, they have to meet certain standards. And we have to have nationwide accreditation. Otherwise, how the fuck how do universities know what qualifies as public school?
At a much more precise level. It won't be such a big, monstrous situation. We run it
A big, monstrous situation.
locally. The parents will be running it. The school boards are going to be given back their power.
Will the federal department shut down entirely?
I hope so. I mean, I expect it will.
I mean, it has to. I expect it will. There's a woman running it.
You'll have a few people left just to make sure they're teaching English. You know, you say reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? In the old days, reading, writing, arithmetic. They want to teach English, and other language is great, but English is our language, and they want to make sure because you never know, somebody goes haywire. But basically, it's good.
How do you stop them? If you don't have a Department of Education, what, are you just going to have 5 people there that police English as a language, as the primary language in a school? What and what's the what if a school's bilingual at all, say in Texas, what's the percentage? Yeah, you guys are speaking too much Spanish. We have somebody wandering around going, I didn't understand a word of that. Y'all are in trouble.
Be shut down entirely. That's what we want. And we want education to go back to the states. They're going to run it great. The parents are going to be running it. The school boards are going to be given power.
We already do have that.
To run it. And these are school boards where the parents are on those school boards.
As opposed to, for real, does this asshole not know, like, does he think, by the way, does he think school boards are the PTA? I think he does. I think what he knows about how schools are run, he learned entirely from Harper Valley PTA.
Shortly before the election, reading the room, I actually published that I thought it was likely you would win the electoral vote, the swing state vote, and the popular vote. Do you have a moment that night where you said to somebody, and could you tell us about it if so, wow, like this is going to be a clean sweep?
Yeah, I was with Dana White, the great Dana White. He's a fantastic guy.
Who won't hang around with Trump anymore.
UFC, and we're friends, and we were watching it, and
that was the last night I saw him.
Weren't exactly sure because the votes looked like they were not what they should have been, and I believe there was cheating in that election too. But
yeah, you paid for it.
Then all of a sudden it just broke. It was too big to rig. They couldn't stop it. They tried, but they couldn't stop it. Too big to rig, and it started. I looked at the extent of, you know, a lot of people thought I was going to win, but they didn't know I was going to win by that much. We won all 7 swing states by a lot. We won by
yeah, and if you redid the election right now, you'd lose all of them.
Millions of votes, the popular vote, which is always harder for a Republican, and some of the numbers.
Thanks, Uncommitted. Haven't you guys done a wonderful thing? Especially not just for the American people, but for Gazans as well.
We did very well with women. We did phenomenal with Hispanics. Black
Oh, look what his face does when he says black.
male population was incredible. The whole thing was, I mean, we were getting numbers that were so good. And it was very nice, you know, to see it was very nice. I worked very hard. I took a big risk by running, a big risk, bigger than anyone would understand. I had
Why?
false prosecutions. I had very crooked courts. I had very
No, you ran to protect yourself, and it worked.
crooked judges. And
Didn't have a single crooked judge. Well, that's not true. Eileen Cannon, he had a crooked judge, but she was on his team, so.
people got it. They really understood it.
Last thing, I'm going to read you a couple viewer questions, and you can answer any you want or skip.
Okay.
One line, maybe. What's the timeline for creating a budget that's lower than the last and for balancing the budget?
I hope we can do that very soon, maybe even now.
No, they just passed a CR. You're not going to do a budget anytime soon.
Love to be able to do it. We had big budget meetings with the Senate. And I think that there's
Yeah, you know what that resulted in? You passed a continuing resolution, fuckwad. That's how it worked out. After your big meeting with the Senate, what happened? You passed Biden's budget for another year, you weirdo.
chance we could do it right now. We're going to give it a shot.
Can we reform taxes to eliminate the need to file?
Well, it's possible, you know, if the tariffs work out really well, you wouldn't need income tax. You know that if tariffs work out well.
Sure. And of course, if a giant unicorn that farts glitter switches its diet, it could just shit dollars all over the country and nobody'd even have to work.
Our country at its richest was during from 1870 to 1913. That was it.
Okay. Okay. One moment, please. The country at its richest. Let's see if we get some pictures. These are all drawings. Yeah, it's 18. Let's pick 18. I'll just pick 1890. That'll work. Just America at its richest, when everybody had it good. You know what I mean? Where the streets were paved with gold and dog duty. It was disgusting. When people had time to sit around and go, man, I wish I'd learned how to read. You know, these big fancy homes everybody lives in, you can't even get water to come out of the faucet. I don't even know why people like it at all when you could have a nice ramshackle. That's it. There we go. That big industrial, that's where the money was made. And the children worked. Ah, yes, the cathedrals. And the smell. Who can forget it? It's the richest we'd ever been. This is when, who needs an iPad when you've got a giant, oh, apparently I've got to purchase a license to use these pictures. Sorry. Let's scroll through these Getty images. Has anybody seen A Million Ways to Die in the West? This was Miss America in 1890. Holy shit. Yeah, there was, by the way, that was a Mac laptop in 1890. It was one of the early models. We were so rich in the cities. I mean, not these people, but these people up here. Those people were very rich. Things were great. The richest they ever been. These folks, not so much. Especially these guys. I mean, you know, talk about who had it good. Holy shit. This is what we want to get back to. Make America great again. Dude's making horseshoes in a fucking barn. Look at all the horseshoes up there. He's like, hi, freeze for a picture. How long do I have to hold? A minute and a half. back when you couldn't smile in a picture because it took it like you'd look like an insane person if you just held your smile that long. The richest we'd ever been.
Richest, and we were an all-tariff nation.
Do you put ketchup
Gibberish.
on your steak?
Yes.
Ugh. What an asshole.
Is your driver's license expired?
I'll have to check.
Okay.
He's never had one.
Not allowed to drive, if you can believe it. It's a great. I love.
He's allowed to drive. He's allowed to drive. You would do it in a limited. You know, he could, if he wanted to, he could take a car out and fucking drive it around the NASCAR track by himself if he wanted to. He can't drive in regular traffic. That's all.
President, you're not allowed for security reasons, or
I really meant.
Yeah, but he's never been able to do it. He can't drive. Not that you're not allowed. You can't.
Oh, I miss it. I miss not driving.
Wait, that's gorgeous. I miss not driving.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to drive, if you can believe it. It's a great.
Because you're president, you're not allowed for security reasons, or
I really meant. No, I miss it. I miss not driving.
I miss not driving. Okay. Thanks, Gramps. Nap time. By the way, kids, I got to the tail end of the show. I'm gonna rest my voice because I could go longer, but I will save it for the later in the week if that's okay with you guys, so that I can let my vocal cords get back to abnormal. So thank you guys a ton, and I will see you guys tomorrow. The show should be at the regular time, I think. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna stop talking. I gotta stop speaking. Hit that like, everybody. Thank you. And subscribe. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Ignore My Channel. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Junker Jane. Thank you, Isabella. Thank you, Catbird. Thank you, Carolyn.